August 5th at 5:05 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting of the City Council to order. If the clerk could please take the roll.
Councilmember Cormack.
Here.
Councilmember Du Bois. Mayor Filseth. Vice Mayor Fine.
Here.
Councilmember Nis. Councilmember Koo.
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka. 4 present.
Thank you very much. Mayor Filseth, Councilmembers Nis and Du Bois will be here as soon as they're able. Before we begin this meeting with a study session, as part of the call to order, we just wanted to make some comments. As we call tonight's meeting to order, I'm sure my colleagues agree that we should pause for a moment to extend our condolences to the past week's victims of gun violence, their families and friends, and all those affected and recovering in our neighboring community of Gilroy, as well in the cities of El Paso and Dayton. During these difficult times, we are reminded of the importance of community, like we have here in Palo Alto. Solidarity and inclusiveness are key threads in the social fabric that binds us together and with our affected neighbors in the region and across the country. We also want to extend our thanks to the first responders and public safety professionals at Palo Alto who supported Gilroy during this painful incident and in the days that follow. We'll be recognizing them in a few minutes as part of our proclamation regarding National Night Out. And we will be adjourning our meeting tonight in recognition of those affected in Gilroy, El Paso, and Dayton. We will also be adjourning tonight's meeting in honor of Stephanie Munoz, a beloved member of the Palo Alto community who passed away last Thursday. Stephanie was a long-standing advocate for the less fortunate members of our community. She gave her time and energy at countless council meetings, always reminding us of our responsibilities to those who might not otherwise have a voice in our deliberations. Our thoughts and our prayers are with Stephanie's family and friends tonight. If we could please have a moment in silence of all those lost. Thank you all very much. So our first item tonight is item number 1, a study session with the Palo Alto Arts Center Foundation. And if staff has a presentation and wants to kick it off.
Yes, good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. I'm Kristen O'Kane with the Community Services Department, and I'm very happy to be here with our Art Center Foundation and Art Center staff. We can't recall a time when this a similar study session took place with council, so we're thrilled to be here to share some of the great things that the Art Center does and the great partnership that they have. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Karen Kinzel, who's our senior manager and oversees the Art Center operations, and I'll turn it over to you, Karen.
Thank you, Kristen. Good evening, council members. And so this is our plan for the discussion tonight. And just to start with the Art Center, the Palo Alto Art Center engages more than 140,000 people every year with a diverse range of programs for all ages. We are your place to see and make art, activate your creativity, and expand your community. A full introduction to all of our programs is available in the staff report that accompanies this session. This is a diagram that shows some of the growth of participation in the Art Center over the past 5 years, essentially a doubling of our participation numbers. And this is a diagram that demonstrates revenue growth to the city's general fund from Art Center programs. These are primarily our class programs, our summer camps, and our adult studio programs. And just a little bit of information about the year ahead. We're excited to share our upcoming fall exhibition showcasing the relationship between humans and animals as seen through the eyes of contemporary artists. And this exhibition will include collaborations with Pets in Need and the Junior Museum and Zoo. And then this winter, we'll organize an exhibition exploring trees and contemporary art, which will include collaborations with Canopy.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Solov and I'm the board president for this upcoming year. And so kind of diving a little bit into the Palo Alto Art Center Foundation. And so we were founded in 1973 by the Palo Alto Cultural Center Guild. And we expand the reach and advocacy of the Palo Alto Art Center through fundraising and advocacy. Currently, we have 12 active members of our board from a very diverse range of backgrounds. And we also have a very active emeritus board, emeritus council who are previous board members. So this slide here showcases the contributions that the foundation makes to support programs at the Art Center over the past 4 years. We contribute, these dollar amounts, they contribute to the salaries with an annual payment to the city as well. We have included in here direct payments for materials, supplies, contractors for various Art Center programs. We also have a very robust fundraising program, so you can see here stats from the last 4 years as well. 4 years as well, yeah. And the spike in revenue in 2017 was due to our 45th anniversary celebration.
Hello, my name is Karen Kwan, and I'm the Development Director for the Palo Alto Art Center Foundation. The foundation achieves its fundraising goals through a variety of efforts, including grants to foundation and corporate funders, individual fundraising, membership, and events such as the annual Great Glass Pumpkin Patch coming up at the Art Center in September.
We would now like to present a high-level overview of the recently established strategic framework for the Art Center and the Foundation. So this was the most extensive planning process ever undertaken by the Art Center and the Foundation. It was conducted by Gail Anderson and Associates, and it was funded by the Hewlett Foundation. The process involved an institutional assessment. It involved conversations with numerous community members and donors. It involved a staff retreat, a board retreat, and numerous work sessions. It started in October 2018 and was just finalized in June.
I'm Sally Glazer. I'm one of the past co-presidents of the Palo Alto Art Center Foundation Board, and I'm going to just run you through a few of the findings from that planning process. We were noted to have a dynamic mix of programs ranging across our exhibitions, our children's programs, our studio programs. All of these activities create a buzz around the Art Center. Something is always happening, and that occurs in the context of a welcoming atmosphere, which has been is really a testament to the Art Center staff that makes it all happen. Accordingly, we were noted to have a positive reputation in the community. We also have, it was noted that some of our programs are very lucrative, including our studio programs, our children's fine arts programs, and our summer camps. Of course, we sit in a lovely location in Palo Alto, and the grounds were noted to offer a lot of opportunities for visitors and for programs like the Patrick Doherty whiplash sculpture of willow branches, which has been there for a few years now. All of this exists in an environment of the positive relationship and ongoing support with the city, which is really critical to all of our work. Our donors were noted to have a positive sense about us, the Art Center, and we have the engagement of the Emeritus Council, which Christina described to you. Regarding the Foundation Board, we've been working to make sure that it has a diversity appropriate to the community. The board members themselves are quite dedicated and spend a lot of time. It's a very roll-up-the-sleeves kind of group, and this was recognized as part of the planning process also.
As part of our strategic planning process, we revamped our mission statement, and once again, it is the Palo Alto Art Center is your place to see and make art, activate your creativity, and expand your community. We also created a new vision for the Art Center, which is here.
Hello, I'm Marcia Pugsley, one of the past presidents of the foundation and currently an emeritus council member. And as part of the process, we identified values that really inform the work that's done and how we work, as well as the programs. And I think you'll recognize that how art is really is essential in bringing vitality to the community and to individuals. Through the seeing and making art, it really can be transformative for individuals and a community. The doing, seeing, and making art is really provides an arena where respect for one another can happen and also can be influencing others in the community. two of the important things too that we recognize and that have been fostered by Karen and the staff is that creativity and innovation is used as programs are developed, as programs are thought about in terms of offerings to the public, but also how they do their work, how the staff functions, and also how the board tries to function. And finally, there's one of the other values is collaboration, probably one of the outstanding ones that has happened for the last 47 years is how the Arts Center and Foundation has collaborated with the city, but also, as you heard earlier, we've done work with Canopy, also the Junior Museum and Zoo, and Palo Alto School District, so these have been quite rich partnerships.
So through a process, we landed at 3 critical strategies to form our work moving forward. And so these strategies are here: heighten community engagement, increase financial sustainability, and strengthen leadership capacity.
These are some of the particular goals for the Arts Center and the Foundation in terms of heightening community engagement.
And in terms of increasing financial stability, these are the goals identified through our planning process.
In terms of the strengthening of leadership capacity, here are goals that we're working towards.
And so we'd appreciate any sort of feedback from the council on our strategic framework and goals, particularly any feedback on how to heighten our community impact, and any opportunities to address any specific needs that you guys have identified or feel that are important.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and to all of you, thank you for your service. Want to open it up to my colleagues. Any comments, questions? Councilmember Cormack.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Always been a fan of the pumpkin patch, and Project Look is, such a wonderful experience for kids. So thanks for that. Just a few thoughts as I go through this. So your visitors have doubled. Do you have a sense of why that might be?
This is in part due to the renovation of the Arts Center, which was completed in 2012. That made the building much more functional and aesthetically pleasing.
Okay, great, wonderful. I'm glad that happened. As we go through all of these, I see $4.7 million raised in private funds for the recent renovation. So if I think about the libraries, I think about the Junior Museum and Zoo, we're seeing really substantial amounts of money raised. So thank you to the board and everyone who works to do that. I know personally that's a big effort, so appreciate that. I do also see, though, that your fundraising needs to double in order to hit that, and I assume that in addition to the strategy, you have some ideas about that.
Right, let me speak to that. So we're leveraging technology and our Salesforce CRM, developing a fundraising plan and engaging our board and constituents around it. So really taking advantage of the close connections, the relationships that we've built over the years across constituents to help support us in this effort.
Yeah, we use Salesforce with the Library Foundation for our donor management, so I was glad to see that you'll be increasing your use of data and that, so that looks like a good plan. You were talking about connections here, and I was very pleased to see how many connections you already have. One, you mentioned the library, but even that physical space, you're so close to Rinconada, and there's that space in Rinconada. I can certainly imagine, opportunities to bring more things from the Arts Center into that new space at Rinconada and expose people who are coming to the library, and vice versa. I'm sure the library would love to have a display of books, that you can check out about artists, anything like that, I think, to foster connections. Do you also work with the studios at Cubberley? I know the recent printmaking exhibit had some connection to it, but is that a more structured program?
There is. Actually, the printmaking press that's located at Cubberley was donated by the family of Paula Kirkeby. Paula ran Smith Anderson Editions for many years. And so we actually run classes and workshops out of that studio.
Okay.
But frequently collaborate with the Cubberley artists on a variety of programs.
Great. One of the things that's always been a little bit tricky to understand is who pays for what and how this all works. So I'm just thinking maybe the next time when we come, instead of having the bars separate, we can have them stacked perhaps, just to see everything together. It looks like, so when I was on page 7 of your framework, the donations it's donations, not earned income, right? It says revenue, but I think it's the fundraising part there. I just think, so I heard some about revenue. There's also, which is generated by the programs. There's also money that the city provides from our budget. And then there's also money that is donations, right, not earned income. So it'd just be helpful maybe next time to see pie chart or stack or something so we can see them all together as opposed to separately. And then, again, I'm glad that you recognize that going forward, the roles and responsibilities of the director vis-a-vis the center and the board is, it's just important to get those straightened out later on. But thank you so much for being here. I was joking with the team earlier that glad you weren't making us draw, but, maybe next time, we can bring something, we can all sketch something for a moment or two, as long as we don't have to share. Again, thank you for being here.
Sweet. Thank you, Councilmember Cormack. Councilmember Koo.
So thank you so much for being here, and I really enjoyed the presentation and all the vibrant colors and the artwork. In terms of community engagement, I think you asked how would you have connections. So I see in the staff report, it mentions that you have a robust partnership with over 40 nonprofit organizations. I was wondering if one of them might be Magical Bridge Foundation or Abilities United. There's also Lytton Gardens, where they have the elders, as well as people with Alzheimer's. And then, of course, there's the folks from La Comida. So I was wondering, do you have partnerships with them already, or would that be something that you might be able to develop down the line?
Yes, thank you. We have in the past worked with Magical Bridge and Abilities United. In fact, we have a diversity initiative that is funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which involves the Junior Museum and Zoo, that's focused on creating a pipeline of engagement for diverse youth, diverse in ability levels and in ethnicity, to engage at the Arts Center and the Junior Museum and Zoo through paid teen opportunities, paid undergraduate internships, and paid graduate fellowships. So that is definitely an area of interest, but there's opportunities to explore further. We have not worked specifically with Lytton Gardens or La Comida, but those are great suggestions.
Thank you. So would we be able to see something consistent, camps and programs for people with developmental disabilities?
So thank you for that comment. So we're at CSD as a whole, Community Services Department is looking at how we can do more of that from a department level, and part of that is just starting out with some training, but also just how can we move the needle a little bit on that to provide more opportunities in classes and programs for the community.
That would be super. On Instagram, I follow this pottery site, and there's this one fellow who does a lot of pottery, and it's so incredible. He has autism, but he does beautiful work. So I'd love to see more of that come through the art program. I mean, I don't know what you can explore, but maybe it'll help with people with Alzheimer's. I'm not sure, but it'll be lovely if you could kind of explore that. Also, of all the artwork in the city, is there a list on your website where they are? Do you have something like that available?
So artwork in the city is handled by the Public Art Program and my colleague Elise DeMarzo.
So it's
separate.
Thank you.
But they're actually housed at the Art Center, so it's often confusion.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
And then just piggybacking off Councilmember Cormack's question about, the funds, right? I see that it mentions that your annual operating funds, the city provides approximately $1.3 million, and then there's also in-kind services for the care of building, grounds, and technology. Could you provide a breakdown next time of how much that comes to? So 1.3, and then what is the breakdown for other things that the city provides for in-kind? That would be super. If you have a number off your head right now, do you know? That's okay. Thank you. But it'll be lovely to see that in addition to what Council Member Cormack has. So again, thank you so much for your services.
Councilmember Du Bois or Shinaka?
Yes, first of all, thank you all for your efforts. This is really great to hear about tonight. And the Net Promoter Score was excellent. You guys seem like you're fairly sophisticated, which is great to see. So I had kind of similar questions to council members. So you have these 3 strategic goals. So heightening your financial sustainability. So how are things going in terms of fundraising? In the past, has it been fairly consistent year to year?
Yes, so we have been quite fortunate to have the support from the community members, have a steady membership program as the ground, as a foundation of our fundraising campaign year after year. We also enjoy the loyalty, if you will, of our upper level members especially. So our higher level membership renewal rate is high, in the 80 to 90% renewal. And there's obviously always work to be done. And we're, as I mentioned, leveraging technology so that we can really look at how to engage our members, visitors, anyone who come through our door, getting to know them so then we can customize the journey that they embark on with the Art Center, from casual visitors to members to donors who give to the Art Center philanthropically, and also to leverage our partnership with our board as well as our emeritus council members, leveraging their relationship with community leaders and members, and to to have their support both financially as well as taking advantage of their network.
Okay, so I think this is the first update I've seen in 5 years, so I don't expect this to come back anytime soon. So, I think it'd be really helpful if you could talk a little bit about the expense side, right? When you say sustainability and then you want to double the amount of fundraising, I think it just paints an image in our heads of, well, is there an issue here? Or is it just you want to do more with more money? What's happening?
Yeah, so I don't think the double in fundraising is really coming from any sort of necessary big issue. I think we have goals of increasing our community impact, our programs, to be able to do more things. So it's not really kind of to fix a problem, but really to be able to reach farther out to our community and address kind of some of the programs that Councilmember Koo also identified, so
okay.
To diversify.
Looks like maybe you want to...
Yeah, I was going to say, too, that, one thing we've looked at is we'd love to have an innovation fund so that we could, if something comes up, we could actually respond to it and maybe offer something different.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful, actually.
Right. When we did, I was going to say with Lydia that you talked about Lytton Gardens. Just last year there was a program at the Art Center for seniors, and it was pairing them with younger art enthusiasts, and that was a successful program. But it's that kind of dipping into those areas.
So is the budget managed based on money in hand versus on fundraising targets? So you're not spending ahead of fundraising?
Could you repeat the question again, please?
Is the way the budget is set based on kind of money that's already in hand, you have that money? Or are you spending money anticipating future fundraising?
I would say both. So we have the funds identified through earned income from the city and other programmings, and the fundraising goal set by the foundation board. It's responsive to looking at what we raised the year prior, as strategic initiatives that we identified for the coming year, and looking at that to reach the fiscal year budget.
And just to clarify, we actually have two budgets. So there's the City of Palo Alto budget. The increasing financial sustainability piece was really focused on the Art Center Foundation. So the city portion of our budget is part of the larger city budget. We have revenue goals for each of our programs that we have exceeded over the past few years, but that's the city side. The foundation side is what Karen was speaking
So basically, nothing's at risk if we don't hit the foundation goals from the city program perspective.
I'm sorry,
We're not in danger of not having enough money. The city budget is the city budget, right? Okay. And then just the last thing I'd say is it seems the other strategic goal is really heightening community engagement, and it seems like that really goes in hand with fundraising, right? If you heighten community engagement, you should be able to raise more funds. So best of luck, and thank you guys again for coming.
Thank you. Councilmember Tanaka?
Yeah, I also wanted to just thank you guys for making this happen. I think art's an important part of the community, and it's great to see the foundation helping to support this. I was actually at a recent event. Was it 2 months ago? I forgot when it was, but it was a really good event. I've been to the glass pumpkin thing, bought a couple of pumpkins there, so it's a really good event, and I'm glad you guys make it happen. Just a few quick questions. So I also really like the fact that you guys did a Net Promoter Score survey. I was just curious, what percentage of people actually respond to it? And I was just curious to know, how do you guys actually administer the survey?
We administer surveys through SurveyMonkey. So for class programs, those are provided after the class. And in our exhibitions, there's an iPad where participants can actually rate the program there. I will say we're having a lot of conversations at the Art Center about whether surveys are the most effective strategy, because we feel like people are having survey fatigue. So we're in our last week of summer camps right now, and at the first week of summer camps, we get a really good survey response, and then it goes down after each week of summer camp. So we do get valuable evaluative info, but we're finding that our constituents are tired of doing surveys.
How many questions are in the survey? Is it just the one Net Promoter Score, or do you ask a bunch?
We ask a few questions. It depends on the program. So Net Promoter Score has been valuable for us as a way to compare very diverse programs and get a Net Promoter Score, an average that gives us a sense of how we're doing, but also being able to compare program to program. But there's specific questions that each program asks, so it varies by program.
I see. I mean, I definitely understand survey fatigue, but if eliminating questions might help that's what I would do, because I do think this is actually a valuable thing to have. It allows you to know how effective this program is. Is the community benefiting from this or not? So I think it's great. In fact, I wish all city services did this, right? Not just the Art Center, but trash service, utilities, everything, because I think it's a really great way to understand how people are feeling. And so what's the range of response right now?
That is a great question. I can get back to you on that.
Okay, I mean, I don't have to be exact, but is it like you get 90% response rate, or is it like 5% response rate?
I think in our children's programs around now, we're seeing a kind of 15%. With adult studio programs, I think it goes a little higher, but I can get those exact numbers to you.
Yeah, I'm curious, just to kind of know. And I mean, one way you could swing the deal is, and a lot of retailers do this, is they say, win a free whatever, right? So that's one way to get a better response. But I think the other way is just having a short survey, right? Maybe if you have to just have that one question, it's probably good enough. Okay, but by the way, 15% is still good, by the way. It's still really good. And this is offered to everyone for every single program, okay, that's perfect. And do you guys have a sense of how much of this, how much of the service is being used by Palo Alto residents versus non-Palo Alto residents?
Yes, and it very much depends on the program. So our summer camp program, we're in summer camps, so summer camps are very much top of mind. It skews strong majority Palo Alto residents, so we're probably in the 90% range. For our adult studio program, it's probably 80% residents, 20% non-residents, but it depends on programs. Our exhibitions draw a regional audience from all over the Bay Area.
Okay, so that's great. So it looks like it's really serving the community. And how do you know you actually ask people? Is it on the registration form, or is it different fees for different people?
Yes. So it's the ActiveNet registration database that's used by the entire Community Services Department.
I see. And are there different fees between residents and non-residents?
Correct, and also the ability to register for classes early if you're a resident, which means a lot for our ceramics classes, which consistently fill up and have waiting lists.
Okay, great. I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of the right things, so thank you for your work. I really appreciate it, and continue the great work you guys are doing.
Thank you to all my colleagues for their questions and comments. Just a few short ones. So one, it was a little bit tackling on what Councilmember Tanaka was asking about Palo Alto versus non-Palo Alto residents. A little different, though. It would be helpful in the future to understand unique visitors. I was just saying, about 150,000 in this fiscal year. I know I've been once, and so that's 2.5 per Palo Alto. And I'm wondering how that breaks down. And do you have this really strong cohort? I'm assuming you probably do. Councilmember Du Bois was talking a little bit about heightening community engagement, how it might support your financial sustainability goals. I was thinking this over a little bit today, and I was wondering if it doesn't make sense to maybe actually just focus on goals 2 and 3, financial sustainability and strengthening leadership capacity. And part of it is, it looks like your attendance is going up and to the right. That's a good thing. And I wonder if the second 2 goals don't actually support the first. I think Councilmember Du Bois is also right that, heightening community engagement and marketing probably supports fundraising. At the same time, I just wonder if it's better to focus on 2 things rather than 3. So that was just one thought I had. And the last one, you mentioned the Glass Pumpkin Festival. I love the events the Art Center puts on. And I've just been toying in my mind also recently. A lot of communities around here are really upping their events strategies, I guess you could call it, and doing events all over town. So over the next couple of years, if you can think of nice events that you can host in different areas of the city. I know there's attendance downtown at the art walk, but if there are other nice opportunities, please consider engaging those. I would love to see more arts in different parts of Palo Alto. Those are all my comments. Do we have any public comments on this? All right. Mr. Mark Weiss, you are our only public commenter.
Do I get 6 minutes? No.
3 okay?
Good afternoon. Hey, I want to say, first of all, that Karen Kinsel and her cohorts are doing a wonderful job with the exhibitions, and I'm really enjoying the Bay Area Printmaking Show, which is up for 3 more weeks. So, my name is Mark Weiss, and I have been producing events in Palo Alto for 25 years under the name Earthwise Productions. And I have 4 shows on sale right now at Mitchell Park, but I also have an event. I've done 2 events at the auditorium at the Palo Alto Arts Center, and I want to suggest that you make more use of the auditorium. Maybe that could be driving engagement, as you were saying, or as Vice Mayor Fine, soon to be Mayor Fine, is saying in terms of outreach, maybe more events. Maybe the events can be at the auditorium or even in the courtyard. And this is a little bit ad hoc, and it wasn't what I was going to say, but having heard the presentation. So I have a free concert Thursday, October 24th with Tom Harrell, who is from Palo Alto, from Los Altos, went to Stanford, used to perform a lot downtown in the 70s, and then has been in New York for a while, and he's one of the greatest composers, improvisers, and band leaders in jazz. He plays the trumpet. And I have it now as a free concert, but I'd be willing to donate to the Art Center Foundation, half the house, which is about 100 tickets. Maybe you could price them as gold circle. Maybe you could raise a couple grand like that. If you want to take over my event as the fiduciary and I'd get a nonprofit rate or a house rate, maybe we could talk about that. As of now, they're listed on Eventbrite as a free event, but it isn't well advertised, so there's still a lot of room. I think the room is 200 capacity. Incidentally, I did a show there with Beth Custer back in March, who's a composer from San Francisco, and the San Francisco Arts Commission. The San Francisco Arts Commission underwrote her composition and presentation of a new material. I'm wondering, it's a different topic, but our art commission might also work in the performing arts someday. So let's talk about that. I don't know, but I think generally speaking, I recommend you get more use out of the auditorium for performing arts. I'm talking about jazz, maybe folk. I know there's some classical stuff there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers on that one? Excellent. I think that concludes our session, but thank you all so much for your service and for coming tonight.
Yes, sorry. We'll fill you in.
Unless, Mayor Philseth.
Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Sorry. Our next item is a proclamation supporting National Night Out for 2019. Obviously, there's been a lot of activity in this space. Our police department and many other local public safety agencies were engaged in a lot of work over this past weekend. Are there any comments from staff, or you just want us to read this off?
I think we could go straight to the proclamation.
Okay. I've asked Councilmember Koo to read this, if she would. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for all the work, and please extend and convey our gratitude and also our keep safe from the council to your officers and to all the other departments, fire, as well as to OES. So the proclamation, National Night Out 2019, whereas the Palo Alto Police Department will be participating in the nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 6, 2019, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 36th Annual National Night Out provides an opportunity for the city of Palo Alto to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas the local neighborhood and homeowners associations play a vital role in assisting the Palo Alto Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in the city of Palo Alto, and is supporting National Night Out 2019 locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of Palo Alto be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Palo Alto. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, you, Eric Philseth, the mayor of the city of Palo Alto, do hereby call upon all residents of the city of Palo Alto to participate in National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6, 2019, presented August 5, 2019. Thank you.
So if I could ask our police chief to give a quick overview of what council members and community members might expect as part of tomorrow night's program.
Thank you. No, we're very, very excited to be part of this National Night Out. As you know, it's the second time we've done it in the city of Palo Alto in quite some time, so we're looking forward to that. Really hope everybody can come out and visit with us and engage with us. The police department will be hosting a block party right out in front of the police department on Forest. So we welcome everyone to come out. We're going to have a lot of good venues out there. Pizza, popcorn, prizes, and a lot of our units will be out there representing. We will also have 4 teams made up that will be rotating to all the neighborhood block parties. There are 8 that will be listed in the city of Palo Alto and hosted. So we look forward to seeing everybody out there tomorrow night. So thank you for all the support, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night.
We have a proclamation here. Is it an appropriate time that...
Police chief can receive the proclamation. Very good. I will note that the police chief has offered to give me a ride along to visit the block parties, and so if I'm riding in the back, let's not let Gennady take any photos of that or any suggestion of anything more than along for the ride. Thank you.
Quick question, where do we see the neighborhoods that?
A list of locations?
Yep.
Chief Johnson, where would we find that list of locations where the block parties are being held?
The list of, I believe it's already online, both on our website, and the Palo Alto Weekly has posted the addresses as well. But we'll make sure it's online by tomorrow.
With that, we move to agenda changes, additions, and deletions. Seeing none, we move to city manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I do have a bit of elongated city manager's comments. I did want to provide a brief overview of some items that occurred during your recess in the month of July. So if you bear with me, this may read a little bit like what we did during our summer vacation, but just quickly some notable figures as well as some recaps, if you would indulge me here. So through the month of July, note we kicked off, as you know, with the 4th of July, both our annual chili cook-off, but also notable here our safety watch that the Office of Emergency Services coordinated a multi-agency overview to improve deterrence and efficiency of response during this high-risk time. You know, we're particularly mindful both of illegal fireworks and potential fire risk associated with that, as well as any other potential risks during any major holiday. So kicked off July with that. Then followed immediately with our Municipal Services Center open house on July 5th. We hosted over 400 attendees coming to visit and learn about city operations, primarily our field operations from departments such as utilities, Public Works, Community Services, Administrative Services, our warehouse, Human Resources, also a recruiting booth on site, on scene, as well as the fire and police departments, along with games and food. I will acknowledge there was a dunk tank, and I was the donkey at the end. It's just amazing when you get little kids with a dunk tank. They turn vicious. And got to experience that firsthand, but also really a great job done by all of our staff in providing some public information and allowing residents and other community members to learn about our field operations in a really fun and casual environment. And then with that, let me hit a few numbers here in terms of our summer reading program. The number 3,588 participants signing up for a community bingo card and participation through our social media programs in order to participate in our annual event from birth through adulthood, originally intended to help school-age children maintain their reading skills over the summer break, and has since evolved into a community event for all ages. In addition to reading, participants earned prizes such as visiting local sites of interest. Next number would be 18,000 plus, which is the record-breaking attendance at our Community Services Twilight Concert Series. This is the estimated attendance through August of our Summer 2019 Free Friday Family Concert Series, which will run through the end of this month at the Magical Bridge Playground in Mitchell Park. Next number, 5,000. The number of Children's Theater Summer Hot Dog Season community members' attendance, attending productions of The Emperor's New Clothes and Beat Bugs, a musical adventure. And let's see, just another note, our activity of note for the month of July, we ended much of the month with the Silicon Valley Safety and Preparedness Fair at Stanford Shopping Center on July 27th. So our Office of Emergency Services, as well as our Emergency Services Volunteer Program, organized a very large event held at Stanford Shopping Center, and I understand really well received. And information on all of these programs are available on our website. I'll also be sending you a little more details via email. Now, I also want to relate some notable public safety activities over the course of the month. Obviously, very serious events occurring both locally as well as nationally. Locally, in terms of the Gilroy incident recovery support, various staff from our public safety departments, police department, Office of Emergency Services, and fire department responded to assist City of Gilroy in the aftermath of the recent shooting. This included field responses providing relief to local staff in the Gilroy area for both ongoing operations as well as the Emergency Operations Center, and deploying our mobile Emergency Operations Center also in support. Palo Alto Fire Engine 61, as part of the Santa Clara County Strike Team, was deployed to the City of Gilroy to provide support during the vigil in remembrance of lives that were lost. On the prevention side, would note that our Office of Emergency Services as well as Fire Department have worked together to update our ongoing fire website and hold community presentations to Palo Alto Hills neighborhoods. Also, always need to be vigilant in prevention and activities to ensure safety in our forest interface areas. And then finally, a couple of notes just over this past weekend on Tennessee Avenue. Really want to thank both our public safety departments as well as residents in the neighborhood around Tennessee Avenue. I was privileged to be on scene on Saturday to observe really outstanding work of our police department as well as our Fire and Office of Emergency Services with support notably from the Mountain View Police Department, Santa Clara and San Mateo County Sheriff's Department, Sunnyvale Department of Public Safety in securing custody of an armed domestic violence suspect after a 29-hour negotiation and apprehension over Friday and Saturday. Look forward to sharing with you more details in person, but really can't express enough my pride in their work. And then also over the weekend, actually just early morning hours of Sunday, our fire department crew from Company 64 was involved in a collision on Freeway 101. Thankfully, none of the firefighters were in the engine when it was struck by a semi-truck, and there were no firefighter injuries. Rescue response was dispatched in order to provide aid to the truck driver who unfortunately did not survive. So really important reminders of the critical work our staff do on an ongoing basis. Let's see, a few additional items, actually several additional items if you don't mind. First on utilities, you will notice in the area of Churchill Avenue near Alma Street, there is ongoing work to underground the crossing lines as a part of our preparation for Caltrain electrification, which will be coming to town shortly. We currently have overhead lines at Churchill that will need to go underground in order to avoid any conflicts with the overhead power that were provided through the Caltrain electrification project. And so that work is ongoing and is on schedule to be completed by the end of this week. Also, additional utilities work ongoing in neighborhoods with our utilities department contracting with the company Professional Meters Incorporated to provide field inspections of all of our meters throughout the city in preparation for our own upgrade of business information systems and smart meters throughout the city. So customers will be notified prior to contractors coming by their neighborhoods carrying company badges as well as shirts with logos and driving vehicles identified as Palo Alto Utilities contractors. So again, additional information will be forthcoming to residents. One item of good news for residents related to utilities is we have two upcoming opportunities for discounts, one on solar and two related to zero emissions vehicles. The first is through the Bay Area SunShares program, which we've talked about previously, providing a regional group buy approach through vetted contractors to provide discounts on rooftop solar, as well as zero emission vehicles. So anyone feeling the pinch of rates might want to look into this project or this opportunity as a way to, going forward, provide some savings. Programs available to anyone in the Bay Area through November 15th. We do have a second option for more limited time through September 30th with the Palo Alto Utilities as a part of the American Public Power Association ability to secure rebates on Nissan Leaf EVs or electric vehicles. APPA is partnering with Nissan to provide through public power utilities customer rebates for purchasing 2019 Nissan Leaf models. Those offers cannot be combined. Just a little disclaimer there for anyone looking at that. Let's see, a couple other things. Zero waste, refuse collection cleanup days, expanding our in-neighborhood opportunities for residents to bring large volume, large items for pickup. New program will include 2 instead of 1 annual pre-scheduled dates within neighborhoods with an emphasis on salvage for reuse. So additional focus will be on collection of unbroken, reusable items that our contractor Green Waste has partnered with reuse organizations in order to maximize our ability to avoid demolition or materials ending in landfills and therefore recover items such as furniture and textile. And additional information is available both on our website as well as will be provided through customer information. Let's see, also want to note that we have 2 new managers coming to our city team shortly. As previously noted, Philip Cami will be returning as our Chief Transportation Official, and Megan Horrigan-Taylor will be joining us as our Chief Communications Official. Both start on the week of August 20th. And Councilmember Du Bois' suggestion, we're trying to arrange a social reception to allow council members opportunities to meet and greet with each one, both of these new managers as well as our entire team. Let's see, and also want to note, just in terms of ongoing activities, last but certainly not least, want to note that I have convened an interdepartmental staff working group to look at workplace safety. Also workplace safety and resilience. This is following up on really work that's occurred over the last several months with the Office of Emergency Services and Police Department and Human Resources, working throughout all of our work sites and talking to staff about what can be done, both in terms of interaction as well as our work environments. And we'll be bringing together an interdepartmental team in order to focus that activity and really focus on what appropriate actions we should take immediately, what would be appropriate to bring back to the council for further discussion that might be larger issues, and really do see this as a multi-month effort that is timely for us to take a look at and ensure that we're providing a safe work environment, as well as for public events for the community as well as for our workforce. And then just a few notes in terms of upcoming calendar items. As was noted, tomorrow night we have National Night Out. This Saturday we have a community meeting on the Energy Reach Code. That will be Saturday at 10 a.m. at Mitchell Park. For those who have perhaps been tracking, we are looking at some local amendments to the state energy code for the purpose of pushing on energy efficiency, and there'll be an opportunity to talk about the specifics on Saturday. A few other general calendar notes: first day of school, PAUSD next week, both, Tuesday for public middle and high schools on August 13th, and elementary schools begin on Wednesday, August 14th. So plan accordingly. We have a few more training sessions coming up for block preparedness coordinators. Anyone interested in joining our emergency services volunteer program, perhaps a timely time to step forward for residents. On Saturday, August 17th, 2 p.m. at Mitchell Park. This does require pre-registration. We have a 3-hour class certifying members of the public to be part of our emergency services volunteer program. Just a couple other notes. San Antonio-Charleston Road Intersection Improvement Projects community meeting coming up on Thursday, August 22nd. Summer Family Day at the Palo Alto Arts Center on Sunday, August 25th. And then finally, last again, but certainly not least, Stanford football season beginning again. So August 31st will be the first home game. And so all public safety departments and all involved with traffic will be preparing for that. So appreciate the council's indulgence as I walk through that. If nothing else, I hope that the community can't help but be impressed with the volume and variety of activities that our city is engaged in. At a time, again, as was noted earlier, of perhaps unsettled feelings and some anxiety about a number of things going on in communities throughout the nation, the community can take heart that we are involved day in, day out on what we like to call community building. And our staff is engaged on this broad spectrum of services throughout the community. So with that, thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We now move to oral communications. And we have a handful of speakers, and you will have 3 minutes. And the first speaker will be Winter Dellenbach.
I'm speaking for myself tonight. This is Maria Martinez, President of the Buena Vista Board. This is Sabrina Ramirez, longtime resident and past board member. You all know about the 218 incident when a Buena Vista resident was subjected to a wrongful arrest and use of force by the Palo Alto Police Department. The resident was soon released and filed a federal civil rights lawsuit. Other issues came to light that night that it's vital that the city focus on to ensure we don't have a bigger problem in Palo Alto, meaning is there a culture of bias within the Palo Alto PD toward Buena Vistans and other similarly situated Palo Alto residents based on ethnicity, income status, or sexual orientation, given what Sergeant Wayne Benitez said, as recorded by video and by his own mic immediately after the wrongful violent arrest was accomplished. Understand that the sergeant was the patrol supervisor of the other officers there that night. A sergeant leads and trains, and you can hear him doing that in these quotes. Sorry, a little rough. We're not going to get shit on out there by these frickin' lowlifes. See how quickly they behave once you put your foot down. And that's what we don't do enough of. Amazing how well behaved they become. We put our foot down and they're all behaving themselves now. Regarding the arrestee that night, who's gay, he's gay. Come and get me. He tells other officers how to think about residents, and no one says otherwise. That he had no problem expressing and acting on his bias, knowing it was being recorded on his own mic, should set off red alerts. Is it the culture of Palo Alto Police Department that there would be no repercussions? He's been suspended, but that doesn't speak to these other concerns. Here's what LaDoris Cordell says, former judge, Palo Alto council member, and police auditor, and I paraphrase, I'm calling upon the chief of the PAPD to stand up and address this issue. Let us know, particularly the folks at Buena Vista, that they are safe in this community. Because from what I saw in reviewing all the documents and video and audio, I don't think that is it at all. I know you're aware of the issue. I've known you've seen one of the videos. This extends not to just Buena Vista, but to all Palo Altans similarly situated, one way or another. And I expect you to keep your eye on this, to take it seriously. I've talked to Chief Johnson tonight, and we're watching this, and I expect you all to dig deep. City Manager Shikata, City Attorney's not here tonight, not only be on the defensive, but to get answers and to go where the evidence takes you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Scotty Zimmerman.
Hello. I have a bit of news that I bet nobody here on the council is aware of, which is this. All the shelters providing low-cost spay-neuter services in Santa Clara County, which is one big hecking place, have waiting lists going out for months and are not, at this time, accepting any new applicants for spay-neuter. That includes Silicon Valley Animal Control Authority. You can sign up for appointments after November 1st, maybe. Same with HSSV in Milpitas. That's a huge place. San Jose Animal Care, same thing. No, don't come bother us unless you have a pit bull or a chihuahua. That's a really brilliant program they have going, that they serve people in zip codes that have these kinds of dogs that are very common at animal shelters. And they'll take walk-ins if you got a pit bull or a chihuahua. Tri-City Animals in Fremont, nope. 9 Lives in Redwood City just stopped, suspended as of August 1st, all public spay-neuter, and they are very important. Peninsula Humane Society, the next available appointment is at Halloween. Pets in Need, Redwood City and Palo Alto, closed until January 2020, if then. Now, local people who want to have their animals spayed and neutered have to go to high-priced vets. I got a new dog, needed a spay. I was offered a spay for $900. Come on. I got really lucky and got to a place in Fremont where I had my dog spayed, 11-pound dog. Local trap neuter return groups have nowhere to turn. They can't do it themselves. All these institutions have closed. They feel betrayed by pets in need, which I think is really not fair. And the city of Palo Alto could really help by supporting fast action on reconstructing the medical wing at the Palo Alto Pin shelter and just generally keeping the agreements you have with this group. You're slow poking, dragging your feet. I don't know who it is. It's nobody individually, I'm sure, but it's not working as smoothly as it needs to, and there's no place to take cats that need to be spayed and neutered. So you'll have kittens all over the place.
Mark Weiss.
Good evening, council members. I wanted to say that besides the National Night Out tomorrow, there's another great event in Palo Alto this week. On Wednesday at the Cubberley Community Center Amphitheater, the former high school, which I believe is also subject of a discussion on item 11 closed session. Cubberley is hosting San Francisco Mime Troupe original production called Treasure Island. And San Francisco Mime Troupe, they've done maybe 5 or 6 presentations here in the last 10 years or so. They used to do it for a while at Mitchell Park Outdoors. And they, despite the name, their events have music and speaking and song. And they also won the Tony Award that TheaterWorks won this year. They won it, I think, 20 years before TheaterWorks. They write original plays every year that sort of take a topical issue. I believe, I have not seen this, I'm definitely going to go, but I believe Treasure Island has something to do if you imagine that developers got their hands on an important public resource, what they would do with it. In this case, they're imagining if a fictitious real estate developer, I think, got their hands on Treasure Island. The one in Oakland Bay, not the Robert Louis Stevenson story, but they're riffing off that as well, as from what I understand. So I recommend people go check out Wednesday. It's a free event. They do accept donations. And I think they're a 501c3, they're entirely supported by grants and donations. And it's something I'm a fan of. I've seen 2 or 3 of their shows. The first time I saw them was in 1982 at a church on Cowper. Anyhow, I just wanted to mention that. Bye.
Thank you. Sven Thiessen.
Welcome back, City Council members. I hope you had a very refreshing summertime. My daughter Genevieve has made you guys some cookies. Jessica, if you could send them up in honor of your welcome. Oh, they're right there. Take 1 or 2 or 3 and pass them along. My name is Sven Thiessen. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm a business person. I'm one of the 2,000 people that won a Nobel Prize for climate change work. Most importantly, I'm a dad and a husband. We just had some mass shootings, and if I could give blood, I would be doing so. Our house is on fire on top of that, and that's what I can address, and we can address. If your house was on fire, everybody here would be helping you guys put it out. And we know our house is on fire. We have what we call our 2030 goal, our 3080 goals. By 2030, 80% reductions in our carbon emissions based on 1990 levels. And the only way we're going to get there is to reduce our use of natural gas. We need 3 things. We need really strong reach codes. And that means right now, and the TAC talked about it and said, hey, we're open to it. Completely stopping any new construction using natural gas, going to electric. If my wife, the physician, was here, she'd talk about natural gas stoves as being safer from a burn perspective and much safer from an air quality perspective. And of course, Amory Lovins, what people want is cold beer and hot showers. They don't care how their building is heated and their beer is kept cold. So on the REACH codes, new construction doesn't get natural gas. Then a really strong rebate program that says if you're going to switch it, when your natural gas heater goes out, you convert it to electric, cheaper. Short-term, cheaper, long-term. Finally, we need to be strong and we need to be first and a leader and say, on our bill, the natural gas to residences will be cut off in, say, 2035 or 2040. Else we're not going to make our goals. And more importantly, we citizens and you, the city, are going to continue to be putting infrastructure in that is going to become a stranded asset. So this waxes from a negative perspective everywhere, from a cost to the citizen, a cost to the city, from a safety perspective, and worst of all, it puts our children on a carbon footprint that they don't deserve. When we talk about who gets affected by climate change, it's already impacting people of low income, people whose income didn't produce a high carbon lifestyle like we have been blessed in general to have. So we are damning people who had no responsibility for that problem, and let us not do that to our children. Enjoy the cookies made by children. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Hellitz.
Hi, my name is Tammy. I'm 15 years old, and I moved here about a month ago. I have 3 points about why I think we should have stronger REACH codes. Of course, it helps the environment, and it also addresses major safety issues that come with natural disasters. And lastly, it makes everything cheaper. According to Silicon Valley Clean Energy, 1/3 of the area's greenhouse gas emissions come from space and water heating. If REACH codes help make these electric in the first place, 1/3 of gas emissions would be gone. REACH codes also encourage electric vehicle charging stations to be built, which in turn encourage people to buy electric cars. My generation will have to deal with the effects of climate change a lot, so I really hope that you guys can act now. There are a lot of safety issues that have risen because of climate change, and these can be minimized if we use our REACH codes correctly. A study from IBHS found that Hurricane Andrew's insurance damage costs could have been reduced by 50% for residential properties and 40% in commercial properties if we built with Florida's statewide building code. We don't have hurricanes, but we do have earthquakes, and it could help them. Builders have also will also be encouraged not to overlook basic building strategies to minimize loss and gain of heat with insulation and ceiling leaks. Making buildings ready for electric vehicles saves on future costs for retrofitting, and if built correctly in the first place, you wouldn't have to waste money afterwards creating energy efficient supplies. Thank you.
Thank you. Moshe Hillitz.
Hello there, I'm Moshe Howitz. I'm 18 years old. I'm also Tammy Howitz's brother, and we just moved in about a month ago to Palo Alto and Evergreen Park. I'd also like to speak about REACH codes and their importance for the community. It's important that we participate in our goal to reduce carbon emissions by 80% by 2030. And one of the greatest ways we can do that is by REACH codes. And not only will we be reducing carbon emissions, but one of the biggest problems that the state of California has been having is earthquakes, and we've oddly enough been getting a lot of heat for it. And one of the ways that we can combat earthquakes is by reducing the amount of gas piping inside of homes, because during an earthquake, the whole home is shuttered and gas pipes can rupture and that can cause a fire. That's really what caused the large fires in San Francisco about 100 years ago when they had the major earthquake and when the whole city burned down and when many people had to move out. Now, I'm not saying that such a large-scale catastrophe is going to happen in this area soon, but it is still important that we remain protected for our future generations, especially given the negative impacts of carbon-based emissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rhoda Fry.
Hi, I'm Rhoda. I wish I were as good as speaking extemporaneously as my predecessors, and I do agree with the REACH codes. I'm here speaking for myself and about Lehigh Cement in Santa Clara County. They're the #1 greenhouse gas producer in Santa Clara County, #3 polluter in the state of California, 2,600 tons of emissions per year, out of compliance with Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. I'm here to ask that you support neighboring cities in their concerns regarding Lehigh-Hanson Permanente Quarry's expansion plans. They also have a cement plant that is fed by the quarry. A portion of Lehigh's 3,600 acre holding is actually located in Palo Alto. The cities of Los Altos and Cupertino and the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District have written substantive oppositions to Santa Clara County. Palo Alto would not be immune to the proposed expansion. The most noticeable effect of the expansion to citizens of Palo Alto would be a significant increase in truck traffic, at least an additional 666 trucks per day for approximately 30 years, affecting all commuters on Interstate 280 and Highway 101. Furthermore, other major expansion plans at both Lehigh and adjacent Stevens Creek Quarry would add unknown cumulative traffic impacts. This plan breaks a number of promises made by Lehigh to Santa Clara County. Among them is the ridge line between Rancho San Antonio and the quarry, where they intend to lower that ridge line for over half a mile by 100 feet. We, the citizens of Santa Clara County, actually own that view. There's a deed, and they intend to break the deed. So we're only 3 out of 5 votes away on the Board of Supervisors for losing that. Also, they intend to raise another portion of those hills by 160 feet in a very unnatural way. So I'm here to ask you to please support the 2 cities and Mid-Penn and place this issue on your next agenda. Air and water emissions know no boundaries, and we value our views on our hillsides. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ava Lindstrom.
Good evening. It's Ava. I'm here in solidarity with the residents of the Buena Vista neighborhood. I live about 3 blocks from there, and I've been terribly concerned with the news and the footage that's come out of the arrest of a resident there by Sergeant Wayne Benitez. I'd like to think that when someone is accused of, or just suspected of driving with a suspended license, that doesn't result in losing a tooth and having their head smashed into a vehicle while somebody uses homophobic slurs at them. But that's happened in our community, and I'm deeply disturbed by it and would like more assurance from the city. I would like the city to follow the lead of the leadership in the Buena Vista neighborhood and what that council has already done, and calling for more investigation and more assurance from the city that there will be policy changes and that there will be consequences for individuals who have harmed those in our city who are completely innocent. And that kind of behavior is completely unacceptable, and I don't want to think about that happening to my neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And our final speaker will be Caitlin Marianacci.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Marinacci. I've worked at the city of Palo Alto for the past 3 years or so. I also would like to speak about the police incident that was mentioned in the Buena Vista Trailer Park in February 2018. I watched the home surveillance video that was recently released, and I was really horrified by the behavior of the police officers and what happened. It's reprehensible behavior and inhumane, and the things that the officers said, particularly Sergeant Benitez, who's supposed to be training the other officers, as was mentioned, it reveals a culture of systemic violence against marginalized groups in Palo Alto, and a culture of power abuse that exists in the police department. And past incidents of similar targeting of people of color and low-income folks reveal that this culture is deeply entrenched in our department. and I find it concerning that this is like about a year and a half ago, and all the 4 officers are still employed, and 1 is on leave, I guess. And this targeting of individuals of marginalized communities by Palo Alto police, particularly those in Buena Vista Trailer Park, needs to stop. And this incident and the behavior of the 4 officers needs to be really thoroughly investigated. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes oral communications. We now move to minutes. May I have a motion to approve minutes for June 17th and 24th?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilmember McCormack, seconded by Vice Mayor Fine. Would you vote on the board, please? And that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Niss not present. We next move to the consent calendar.
I'll move consent.
Second.
I have lights on from Council Members Koo and Cormack. Oh, okay. So I have lights on from Council Members Koo and Tanaka. Councilmember Koo, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I'd like to register a no vote on item number 6, which is 1700 and 1730 Embarcadero Road.
Councilmember Tanaka.
No on 9.
Seeing no further lights, would you vote on the board, please? Oh, actually, wait a second. We had a motion from Councilmember Du Bois, but we didn't have a second. So,
I seconded.
Councilmember Cormack seconded. Okay, now we have a motion and a second. Would you vote on the board, please? And that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Niss not present, and no votes on item 6 from Councilmember Koo and item 9 from Councilmember Tanaka. And before we do those, I would like to say that one of the items we just passed was the permanent appointment of Jill Blacksher to be Chief of the Fire Department. And so let me say officially then, welcome Chief Blacksher.
Thank you very much, Mayor, members of council. I'd like to, at your pleasure, invite Chief Blacksher for the first time to address the council.
Good evening. This is amazing. I want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting. This is great. I wish you all a good evening, Mayor Filseth and Vice Mayor Fine and council members. I'm incredibly honored and proud to be appointed as fire chief in the city of Palo Alto. It was 22 years ago when I walked into this building and sat in the fire chief's office on the 6th floor and asking for a job to be an entry-level firefighter at the city of Palo Alto. I developed an affection for the fire department's mission, the men and women of the fire department, and this community. I think that's well understood after serving for 22 years. The members of the Palo Alto Fire Department are outstanding stewards of the citizens here in Palo Alto. Every day we're working towards providing a better service to the city because we know that is the expectation. In addition to the department's commitment to customer service, our success is also a result of your support. For example, approving the fire department's purchase of cardiac monitors, thermal imaging cameras, and auto extrication tools through capital improvement will allow us to be better, safer, and ultimately save more lives. As the fire chief, I look forward to collaborating with the executive leadership team, who have been very supportive. From a firsthand witness, I can definitely say that this team is continuously working towards meeting, and in most cases exceeding, the expectations of the citizens here in Palo Alto. It is truly inspiring to work among such a passionate group. I want to thank City Manager Ed Shikata for having confidence in me and my ability to lead the exceptional members of the Palo Alto Fire Department. I would also like to thank the council and your trust in Ed's judgment and your trust in me. Your trust in me to be head of an organization whose sole mission is to save lives and property in the Palo Alto community is an absolute privilege. And with all sincerity, I truly thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for you and your team's service. Councilmember Koo, care to speak to your no vote?
So I had voted no on the original motion. I'm going to vote no again. The environmental review was based on an inaccurate project description, and therefore I have doubts about the findings and mitigations. They may be inaccurate as well. Our code requires that the public and full council have access to all documents used, and that didn't happen. The ARB's June 5th meeting minutes were not available for review by the public or the council. And I know that one of the council members held up the document to show that he had it, but none of the other council members had it, nor did the public. The negative mitigation declaration was not provided in the staff report, and we had to go look for it. If the project is segmented and CEQA requires that all documents, and CEQA requires that the whole project must be reviewed, and these documents were separated. I asked for the applicant to provide contextual drawings showing I asked if the applicant had provided contextual drawings, and those were not provided, so I can presume that they were not provided to ARB, PTC, or the general public. The project is not compliant with the Baylands Master Plan, and it is the gateway into the Baylands. Lastly, no, actually, that's not the last one. The applicant also said that they met with Parks and Rec committee. They only met with one member, and that's not the whole committee. There was no traffic, this is the last one, no traffic mitigation plan was provided in the report, only a fee paid for the impact which does not address nor fix the traffic congestion and circulation problems. That intersection is an F-grade intersection already.
Thank you. Councilmember Tanaka, care to speak to your no vote?
No, I'm just repeating the same vote.
Okay. So we have no action items on the agenda tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to take up a couple things that we normally take at the end of the meeting, state and federal legislation updates, if there are any, and council member questions, comments, and announcements. And then we'll go into closed session where we have a couple of items, and then we'll come back for the final adjournment.
Do you have any public comments on consent?
Oh, I didn't ask. Were there public comments on consent? Okay. Yeah, yes. Herb, welcome to the mic. And you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Filseth. This is on item number 6 on 1730 Embarcadero Road. The effective date of this ordinance, as I understand it, will allow you to file a notice of determination under the California Environmental Quality Act for the record of land use approval that you adopted on June 24th. That RULA is defective because it violates the Palo Alto Municipal Code requirement that the council make 3 findings for approving a design enhancement exception, and it only makes 1 of those 3 required findings. Before you file such a notice of determination for the project, you need to advertise and hold a new public hearing at which you rescind the record of land use action that you have adopted on June 24th and adopt a new one that makes those required findings based on substantial evidence. Failure to correct that error or adoption of a new approval without the required substantial evidence for the 3 findings would be a prejudicial abuse of the California Environmental Quality Act and a violation of CEQA and the Palo Alto Municipal Code. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any legislative updates? Seeing one from Councilmember Vice Mayor Fine.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update that about a month ago, myself, City Manager Shikata, and our interim transportation official, Chantal Gaines, met with VTA and Nuria Fernandez to discuss Measure B funding. We went there really just to suss out how the money was going to be parceled out and what the process VTA is following. Quick update is that VTA is organizing a technical advisory committee to figure out a financing plan. But something that's somewhat disappointing for Palo Alto is that I think a lot of this community and even some of us on council were under the impression that the money would be parceled out according to the number of grade separations in Palo Alto, Mountain View, and Sunnyvale, a total of 8. So we would hopefully get 4/8 of that money. VTA is certainly not under that impression. And instead has a set of guidelines that were built into the ballot measure, which discuss how the money from the measure will be parceled out. So that's almost $800 million for North County cities. VTA is right now putting together its list of criteria, but we have them written down and we can share them with the full council. But one of them really is timeliness, and so that puts a bit of some pressure on our grade separation decision. Unfortunate, and we will continue to work with VTA on securing Palo Alto's fair share.
Councilmember questions, comments, and announcements. I have a light from Councilmember Du Bois.
Yeah, I had, just to follow up quickly on this, I talked to city manager as well as got some text from Adrian. I think one of the other big issues is they're not looking to bond this money, which means it would come in over 30 years. And that's a huge issue for our grade steps that we need to figure out.
Councilmember Koo.
I wanted to find out if we're going to get any chance to review or for you to present Plan Bay Area 2050 with their methodology coming up for approval and setting that up for RENA numbers that's going to be allocated. So it would be nice for us to kind of learn what they're planning to do and what the meeting dates are and when the comment period is and so forth.
Let me talk to staff and I'll report back to the council on that.
Also, all the other bills that are going to be going through pretty soon, can we get update on that also? SB, all the 330s, 50, 592, 1487.
Okay, seeing no further lights, the next item on the agenda is a closed session. We're going to have 2 items. One is a conference with property negotiators to discuss the impending expiration and renewal of the Cubberley lease, and the other involved with performance evaluation process for the council-appointed officers. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Cormack, seconded by Vice Mayor Fine. Would you vote on the board, please?
Just in time.
And that passes 7-0 with all present. Thanks very much.